And there we go. Welcome back, everybody. So I was going to say more in my earlier video, but really got out what I needed to on the Keto Mojo and how I check my ketones. Again, real quick. Well, overall today it's been a whirlwind, uh, but I did want to go ahead and sit down and record. I've told a few of you in person the whole story. I know that's one of the big questions. I know people are super interested in fasting and my experience with that. So that's a separate video. Uh, Again, I'm trying to give you updates and, uh, you know, as I'm learning, I'm having struggles for the whole therapeutic ketosis. I'm actually going to check in with JT's sister because she does stuff with ketone foods that will help. Like, so one of the things I've done in the last 2 days, I mentioned my coffee. Um, so we've been looking into these exogenous ketones because for therapeutic um, ketosis, you need to have high blood ketones, relative like 3 or 4, and low blood glucose. To that end, I now have a prescription for a continuous glucose monitor, which is good because those are about $1,000. So uh, I'm hoping insurance will pay for at least some of it. And it's a little sensor you attach, and it monitors your blood glucose instantaneously. So I'll have essentially 24-hour data of what my blood glucose is. As I mentioned in the earlier video, so I'll give a shout out to the Humanizing Healthcare. I'll put a link in the description for this video. Again, they do integrative oncology. So they're actually, I'm working on with mistletoe and can't remember what's the other. It's like evening Christmas rose. It's another herb. Apparently, this is super popular in Europe. This is one of the only places that does it here in Atlanta, which is about 4 hours from where I am. But I went there a couple weeks ago, get all checked out. Now I'm doing everything remote. So they gave me the list of I got to get my blood tested every 6 months, 6 weeks. That's the keto brain, chemo brain, not keto. Uh, so again, I can, when you're in ketosis, is typically above zero point 0.5. I need to get it to like 3 or 4, and I need to get my blood glucose to an average of 60, essentially plus or minus 5, 55 to 65. The lowest I've gotten it to is 73. So I'm taking metformin, I'm taking berberine, if I pronounced that right. One's a pharmaceutical that's I have by prescription, and the other is a supplement you can get. I'll actually put a link to that as well. As I talk on this, because again, I do stream of consciousness. Gotta take a note. Do that. Um, but yeah, that's the big news. But again, what I wanted to talk about today, here I am, uh, 4 minutes in, so this might be a long one, is really what happened, how I found out I had cancer. Um, here's today is April 12th. Um, and I guess really this started, and what I know now is there's when I found out about it, and I'll do a separate one on what I think or how I believe. My oncologist said this has been months, not years. So, it was discovered. I'll go all the way back to really the new year. Uh, 2024 has not started off good at all. It started with essentially a cracked tooth that was discovered the weekend of um, New Year's. So like the 29th, the 28th, I think. I couldn't get in to see my normal dentist, so I had to rush and find a dentist um, on the Friday before New Year's. Thankfully, there was one. Um, oh, she was great too. I got a shout out um, because she gave me the painkillers, which was what I was really worried about. I was like, I actually had that instance happen to me. That's another story for another time. I had a tooth die on a weekend and had to run around Long Island, New York with my sister trying to find a dentist that was open because I was in such bad shape. So that was another one where I saw the dentist on like the Thursday. I said, something's wrong. He said, you're fine. And yeah, the Friday night, the tooth died overnight. It's one of the worst experiences I had. So that's how 2024 started off. Uh, I I again, you know, went dry for the new year. We did it just a quiet thing at home, which is what you do when you're older. New Year's was always bigger deal. Uh, and we were going to do a bonfire at my house. That's what we do in the South. We got 5 acres, so got a pile of old wood. We cut down a bunch of trees a few years ago, and I like to have people over. You sit around the fire and drink and complain about the world. It's my favorite activity. Um, Having friends around me, and drinking and complaining. Uh, so anyway, that was the plan. Um, to do that, I was actually burning some brush. This is the day of, uh, this is New Year's Eve during the day, and it's never happened before. The wind picked up. I ended up burning about an acre of my land. Had to call the fire department. Um, so we then called off the bonfire for later that night. Uh, and that's how my New Year started. So that was a good indication that 2024 was going to be awful. Um, right after that, the very next week is when we had here in Huntsville, we had a freeze. So in Huntsville, because it doesn't happen enough, they don't have all the infrastructure for snow plows and sanders and all these things. We had an ice storm, and starting Monday, I think until Friday, Saturday, it was just a sheet of ice. Now, thankfully, have the full, especially after COVID, have the full capability to work from home. But one of the things that happened, you can actually see it, but behind us that Sunday, which I guess was January 7th, if I got it right, um, we went to pick up this ungodly heavy piece of furniture. It's like a little over 6 feet long. It's called a buffet. We also say buffet because it's wrong to be French. And the guy I bought it from was like, "Oh, it's real heavy." I was like, it's an old retired guy. He says, I don't know. I showed up there. The dude was like 6'4", um, and the thing was deadly heavy. It's like two, if not 300 pounds. Thankfully, I got those lifting straps. He helped me get it on our trailer. Got the thing home. Um, Next morning, that Monday morning, when everything's frozen now, uh, I had a pain in my chest, and as dumb as I am, uh, I assumed maybe I pulled a muscle. Again, guy's late 40s, early 50s, chest pain. You're thinking heart stuff. Um, and I have a little at-home 6-point EKG. You kind of rest it on your ankle and hold it with different fingers. There's an app that came out normal. My blood pressure was good. That's something I'll get to later because I did start in the last year taking blood pressure medication. Uh, so I did what any man does, and I ignored the pain in my chest, made it difficult, really. Was able to work from home that week, so I didn't have to go far anyway. But that pain in the chest stayed, kind of subsided. It was difficult to move, but I went from the couch. Wasn't terribly that bad in hindsight, from what I remember. I did try after we thawed out the next week on a Tuesday to do a CrossFit workout. I've been going to CrossFit Invigorate for 5 years now. Excuse me. And I couldn't get through the workout. I got about halfway through. Now, I don't actually do that well at CrossFit. It's terrible, terrible, terrible thing. But it's great when it's over. I'll say that. Uh, and that actually gets into when I think the cancer started. But I was, like I said, as I'll talk about that in a separate video. Um, so here it is. It's about January 16th. One little thing I do is I get a yearly calendar at Christmas, and I actually started saving them because I write a lot of notes in them. It becomes an impromptu journal. I can keep track of stuff. I also write what weight I am and things like that. So yeah, I couldn't make the workout. I was like, all right, I'm not going to the workout. And obviously, I was like, yeah, something's in my chest. I'm having some trouble. Um, and I did what any guy does. I waited another week. Um, then I called my normal doctor. Um, we went back and forth. I told him what was going on. I was like, it sounds like not much. He finally said, I want you to come in um, and, listen to my lungs. Everything sounded okay. He's like, let it go. Uh, I don't think it's much. And then waited another week, and then the pain came back. So I had this pain in my chest. Called my doctor. He said, look, I think you need an x-ray, go to urgent care. So I went to an urgent care February 1st. If I remember correctly, the doc was Dr. White. I could be wrong on that. She did a blood work, x-ray, and gave me an inhaler. She diagnosed me with having bronchitis at that time, late January. A bunch of people were out from work with respiratory stuff. Um, like I said, I wasn't feeling well, so I worked from home for those couple weeks, and wasn't thinking anything of it. But she took me aside, said, okay, you have bronchitis, but you got something else, and that showed up on the X-ray. Now she said it could be literally nothing. Could be you're just inflamed from the bronchitis, but she's like, it could be really bad. Didn't think much of it. I don't tend to, uh, you know, overly worry. But they set me up for a CT scan the very next day. That was Friday, February 2nd. So I went ahead and did that. Uh, did that CT scan, and they said, okay. Um, you know, uh, Urgent care said they'd have him that afternoon, but I didn't think that was possible. Um, so I waited till Monday.